Everybody has a story, and in every story, there is a message. That's why stories are so powerful. Hi, everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. This is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and finally, this is the moment. I am so thrilled to be here today, and I thank you all for tuning in. For those of you who are brand new to me, my name is Vivian Mbakwa. I am a wife, a mom, and a certified transformational and mindset coach for women. I help women use their stories and their passion to tap into their inner strength and unique abilities so they could create their career vision and dreams. On this platform, I will be bringing in guests and experts to share inspirational messages and stories that could impact lives. So if you've not yet subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe and also remember to click the notification bell to be notified whenever I post a video. Today, I am so delighted to bring to you my very first guest on the show. She is someone I've known for a while and I've admired her for her work. She is a mother of three handsome boys. She is an entrepreneur and the recipient of the prestigious 100 Canadian Black Women to Watch. She is here today to share her life journey with us, and I know her story is going to inspire someone watching. Without further ado, join me welcome my very first guest on the show, who is nobody other than the amicable Francisca Walter.
Oh,
Francisca, welcome to the show and thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. So I'll give you the floor to go ahead and introduce yourself to the guest and let us know a little bit about what you do. I know you are a woman with many hats. So tell us a little bit about what you do before we dive into the conversation.
hi, Vivian. Thank you for inviting me as your first guest on your show. Before introducing myself, I would first and foremost congratulate you on this move and to tell you how I appreciate and admire the things you do too. For sure, this move will help empower and inspire a lot of women out there using another woman's story to inspire and uplift another woman. So, congratulations on that. I will introduce myself now. My name is Francisca Walter. I am a mom of three young adults. I am an entrepreneur, as you know. I am a chef. I am a career accountant. So I wear many hats, and I am an elder in my church, Montreal West Presbyterian Church. So I wear many hats and I do many things. That is just few things I will recite for now. As we dive into the conversation, we will have more details. So thank you for inviting me, Vivian.
It's my pleasure having you, Francisca, to grace this show like the first guest. So today we're going to talk about Francisca moving to Canada a couple of years ago when her sons were young to fetch a better life for them and with the hope of moving back to her home country, Cameroon, to reunite with her husband, and how things changed for her after the husband passed away due to a ghastly car accident in 2018. So we're going to talk about that and more today and how Francisca got out of there and followed her passion. So Francisca, I understand that you came to Canada. You moved to Canada when your sons were young. Can you let us know how old your sons were when you moved to Canada and why did you choose Canada?
Vivian, I moved to Canada in 2005 when my twins, they were just 13 years old, a teenage age. I chose Canada because after traveling the whole world around, before prior because prior to moving to Canada, I had done a lot of traveling, and I realized Canada was more family oriented. It's a place where I could they could grow up without me fearing. So that's why I made that decision to come here. And let me tell you, while they were coming here, it was not for me to come and stay here. It was for them to stay with an auntie, and I will be doing temporary moves back and forth because I was already established back in Cameroon. And when they moved in May 2005, the twins, I decided to visit them 1 month after. That was in June, to just see how they're settling down. And after analyzing when I arrived, I decided to stay and take care of them as a mother because I realized no one can take care of your children, raise them up the way you want except you. So I made that move, of which at sometimes I cried. I tried to ask myself it was the best move I made. But down the lane, I realized that was the best decision I ever made for myself. That is the answer to the question. And I came to fall in love with Canada with so many things that happened after. And I realized that was my destiny, that was God preparing a way for me without me knowing.
Yeah, I think Canada is so brilliant. It's a nice place to be. Talking about being family oriented, I think Canada is really top in that. And I moved to here, raising my kids here. I see the values that they have. I think it is good. And when you look back in our home country, Cameroon, which is bilingual, speak two languages just like Canada, French and English, which I think was really a great decision on your part. So that brings me to my next question. So, when you moved to Canada, did you experience any kind of cultural shock being in this country by yourself with your sons? What kind of cultural shocks did you experience moving to Canada, like settling down and things like that?
Oh yes, that is a great question, Vivian. For someone who didn't even intend to migrate in the first place, and then you come in as a visitor and decide to stay, and there was so many things I had to get myself used to, including the way I settled in Quebec, including the way they speak here. The first and foremost, the French they speak here, it's different from what we speak back home. Um, I when they spoke, I was always saying to myself, "Oh wait, this is a joke. They're coming back to tell me the real thing," and that was yes, yes. So this was like a joke. I thought it was a joke. They were just joking, and they were coming to tell me the real thing after, and that was just it. When I had to realize that's how they speak. And the second thing I realized is I didn't even know how to read the report cards. My kids, when they went to school, they brought their progress report card. I had to actually go back to school to learn how to read those notes because it's very different from what we had back home for the how your kids were going. It was important for you to know, for you to encourage your kids on what subjects they're doing bad, what subject they're doing poorly, and where they need improvement. So I needed to go back to school to learn how to do that. And boys here, it's you need to be hands on. I had to take other courses to know extracurricular activities, other things that I needed for my boys to be up to speed with what was needed for them in school. And for sure, the climate was not favorable for me. I was not prepared for the kind of winter uh, Canada had. I didn't even have winter clothes for them. But thank God for kind neighbors, kind friends, kind colleagues at work who mobilized and shipped things over to me and my boys. So I felt welcome. And it's just part of the things I had to get used to. And the other one was actually doing my taxes myself. We are not used to that back home. Like if you work, and someone takes care. Sometimes you declare taxes, sometimes you don't. These are the cultural things that I needed to know. I needed to get myself used to that. If you are not educated, if you're not going to, didn't go to school, it's hard for you to really fit in into your migration to Canada, because it takes some knowledge to know what is needed for you. So that is part of it. And I don't know what you
Wow.
experience yourself.
I can totally relate with you, Francisca, because I've been in Canada too for a couple of years raising my children. And I like the part that you raised, that you have to go and educate yourself. Not
Yes.
that you're not educated, but educate yourself in a way that you will be all able to understand the structure, like report cards. That's something really important. Coming here like immigrants, there are little teeny things that no one tells us about it. But you taking that time to go and go that extra mile, see how you can read your report card. I think that was a good start on your part. Thank you for doing that. I think it's going to help a lot of more parents coming here to settle down. So how did
Yeah,
you
and
do? How
and
did you?
I just want to
Okay,
add
got
one more thing, Vivian.
it.
When I moved here, I realized I needed to change my address immediately. No one told me, but I realized postal code matters where you settle down with your children, because the best schools where you need your children to go, it's all tied up to the different postal codes. I signed a lease close to my friend where I settled, but I quickly realized, oh, I think this is a bad decision I made, because the people, those were like subsidized house, which were cheaper. But the school was not great for what I wanted for my children. So I had to break the lease and move to another postal code to have my kids, my boys, go to proper schools, the kind of school I wanted it for them. So that is another cultural thing that I learned.
That was such a brilliant decision, on you doing, because we come here, we just want to stay around where our people are from our country so we can relate with them. But for you taking that action to move where you can get a better education for your children and a better environment, I think that was really a good start, because like we say, what you give is what you take. Excellent. So how did you do with the part of not having your family around for support? Because sometimes I don't know if you had to take your kids to daycare, and how did you do, like dropping them up at school, picking them up, and being able to, get them into extracurricular activities? How did you manage that?
Okay, that my boys, they were like 12 and they have 13, so I didn't have to do with daycare. The last one was still in Cameroon, he was like 6 years. I think that one was daycare, but he didn't move right with me. I had to come faint for the twins who were 12, 13 before bringing in the last one. So what the I didn't have to do with daycare. I did with young adolescents, which it's like hands-on. You really need to be hands-on at that age, because any mistake you make, any silly move you make, you're losing your children. Um, I I had to do my homework. I connected. I did a lot of. I am the kind of person who, when I meet you for the first time, I just try. I feel to connect with you, to know what you're doing, how I can gain help, how I can gain knowledge from you. I'm the extrovert kind of parent who will go that extra mile to talk to other parents, and that's how I got helped. I met a lot of other parents, people I didn't even know in the community. I met some Cameroonians that I knew. I picked what I wanted from them and what I wanted from people who are not of my community. I picked all of them and brought them together and figure out what I wanted from all this information and made my own decision from that. So again, you have to be very, very open when you come here. You should not only stick to your community, because some of them are limited. While if you go out there and talk to other people, make friends with other people, share food, break bread with other people, you get a lot of information that can help you and propel your children, propel whatever career you want from the advice you get from people. Knowledge is power. You should not limit yourself to what you know and to only people who look like you. So that is how I educated myself.
Oh, that's really excellent. I can see the results from your boys. They are all grown, very responsible. So, is there any other secret you want to share with us? How you raised your boys in the teenage years to be productive citizens?
Oh, yes, absolutely. I made them to be my friends. Okay. I made the journey to be this journey, we are in it together. It didn't seem like I am the mom, I had to make all the decisions. We whatever information we got, we brought it down to the dinner table, and we brought in ideas on how each person can take on an idea and do what they want to do with. So we made mutual decisions on things that we needed to do. And I think that is very important when you're raising children, especially boys. You make them to be your friends, otherwise, they will start hiding things from you. You will only be informed when things are really, really bad. You don't want to be in that situation. So I was very smart from the word go to get them involved in everything we were doing. We did it as a family. I will encourage everyone, every parent raising a child, and every immigrant, any single mother raising your own children, to always get your children on board any decision you decide to do, anything you decide to do. For me, it worked.
Oh, that is so great. I think that's a very good tip that many moms, many families can learn from, because you have to bring your kids to be like your friends, like you said, so they can be open to you to discuss whatever thing they have in mind. Because if they don't do that, the society will do that. So that's really some very important tip that you raised. So now let's go back to Cameroon. How was life like growing up? Looking at your boys, I can tell you got married at a very early age. So let us know how you met your husband and how did you know he was day one?
Okay, this is a very interesting question, which you will be surprised at my answer. Okay, you're very right. I met my husband at a very, very young age. I think I was 20, 21. I was still at the university. I think I was second year university of Yaoundé. I was coming down for a weekend because Yaoundé was the only university we had at the time I was growing up. It was the only university where English speaking people could go, although some subjects were in French, but that was the only university. So I was coming back for a weekend to visit my parents in Boya, and you have to stop by in Douala because the buses will come from Boya, from Yaoundé to Douala, and you have to connect with another bus to go to Boya, to the southwest province, the English speaking provinces. And the bus I took for that weekend, I was going to visit my parents, and it stopped in Douala. It was late. There was no other connection for me. I was trying to look for a connection to go back to Boya that day, and there was no connection for me to go to Boya because it was late. We arrived Douala late, and I was standing by the road just thinking of my head what I'm going to do next. And this young man who pulled up with his car, and he offered to give me a ride. I said, "Oh yes, I'm stuck here. I really need a ride." I am not advising any young woman to do that. Okay, I was just fortunate. I accepted because I was stuck. I had no right to go to the southwest, and he offered to give me a ride to Boya, of which I agreed. And as I got into the car, He said, "You must be hungry. Let's eat first, then I'll take you to your parents." I accepted right away because, in fact, I was very hungry. It's been like 6 hours ride from with the bus that I took. So he took me to this really nice restaurant in somewhere in Aqua, in Douala, and we ordered food. And all of a sudden, he pulled his wallet and he was showing me his mother, and he was telling me a lot of things about himself. And I just realized I was so comfortable, and I started telling him things about myself too. And after the dinner, he told me he wanted to get married to me. And I'm
Oh,
like, oh, yes, I agreed right away. Like, just like a kid, I didn't even know what I was doing. And after dinner, when he said that, he took me to my parents in Boya. And that is how we connected, and we kept that connection. And Vivian, I'll leave the rest. I will not go into details, but tell me, 6 months
that,
down that road, we got officially engaged.
wow, that is amazing. Wow, sometimes the right one comes when you really least expect it. So when he dropped
There.
you in Boya, did he stop to, greet your family, or he just dropped you and
No,
left?
no, it was late at night, and my late father being a commissioner of police, the kind of fence that he
Oh,
builds around our house, it's all wired up. Nobody comes in, nobody goes out. All he needed to do was to make sure I got in safely, and then he took the telephone number. In those days, we didn't even have cell phones, so it was like the landline, and that is how we kept communication. So he made sure I was home safe, and then he drove back.
okay.
Then the next day he called to make sure that I was home safe. And this is my late dad who picked up the phone, and he said he wanted to talk to me. And my dad passed the phone, and my dad stood there listening what he was saying to me, just to be sure no one is I'm not making some funny decision somewhere. And after he hung up the phone, I had to answer a few questions from my dad because I went to Seka, all girls school, and where there your parents need to screen who is talking to you, who is not talking to you. So I was like a daddy's girl. He needed to know what's going on in my life. I had to tell him I met this young dude, this young man, and this is what happened to me, and he brought me here. So that is how the communication started.
Oh, that's wonderful. So when did you finally make that? So when you were dating, you mentioned that he proposed to you. Did he put a ring, like a promising ring or an engagement ring on your finger, or it was just something he did verbally?
It
He
was
proposed.
verbally. It was
Okay.
verbally. It was a verbal commitment that he made, and he followed up in that with that commitment. Like after that weekend, I visited my parents and I went back to school in Yaoundé. The next 2 weeks he came to visit me in Yaoundé, in my, and he didn't
Serious.
even.
Wow, that is
Yes,
serious. Wow.
that was serious commitment, and he came to visit me there. He treated me well, and he brought me to his uncle in Yaoundé to visit the uncle. And when someone is doing that, taking you to his family, you know what that means.
Oh yeah,
So
that's
that is how we started. And as I told you, 6 months down the road, we were officially engaged, and 6 months later, we were married.
okay. So when did you make that official, like present him to your family?
That,
I mean, being so young, you're still in school, I can imagine.
Yes, but let me tell you, it was very tough to bring up that conversation because my father, my late father, was the kind of strict father that he wanted his daughter to graduate, to go to school and graduate and become a career woman before thinking about marriage. And this is me trying to divert from his position, trying to figure out how to tell him this is what is happening to my life. I had to cook up some stories with my late mother because she had she had my back. We had to figure out a way of telling my father about what is happening. So at one point, we had to sit down my father and tell him This man he's serious. He this is his decision. This is what he told me. And the only thing my late father told me is, well, if you're doing anything, there's one thing you need to promise: you need to graduate, you need to get a job, and whatever you want to do with your life, that is fine with you. But your room is here. If that doesn't work, if the marriage doesn't work, you know you have your room here. So I agreed to that, and I followed up. I graduated and I had a job.
Oh, cool. So how was the wedding? Did you have a big wedding or wedding with a close family and friends? How was the wedding like then? Your
Well,
wedding?
I didn't have a wedding. We did just the court signing. We didn't have a big wedding because he had just lost his father when I met him. So he too, he just came back from France because he lost his father. He came to take over from where his late father, or what he left over to run his late father's business. So I think he was looking for a partner, a companion who had the same vision with him to help him do that. And I think he found that in me.
And in you,
And
wow.
so his mother was still mourning, and we didn't want to do some kind of big wedding because they were still mourning, and we decided to go in for a scale down kind of signing tradition. It was done in our home in Boya, with few friends around, and that is a way. Just hoping that maybe sometime and everything is calmed down, we will do a big white wedding, which I never got.
Okay, but I mean, signing, that was the most important part. At least, you got this man right for you. Yes,
Yes.
like just you telling me about your husband, the space of time you met him and you got married. The first time I met you and your husband was, I think, 2016 when you came to Toronto to launch your Sacred Excellence gala night. I remember you and I, we were supposed to put the hall together. I picked you up at a hotel. So I remember he was holding this banner that we had to use for that occasion. He was such a gentle man. He came to that hall. He helped the whole time, stayed there, make sure everything was set. I was like, wow. I was like, oh my God. So for now, I can see what you really saw in that man. He was so loving, so committed. And when I heard about his passing, um, due to that accident, oh, I mean, I felt so bad about it. I can't imagine what you may have been going on, what may have been going through with you and your boys. I remember during our discussion, you told me that you were planning in like 2 to 3 years to relocate back to Cameroon because your boys were already grown. And oh my God, hearing of that news, I can imagine how devastated, how broken you were. So walk us through that peaceful day, faithful day, sorry. When you received that message, did you get a phone call or did a family member? How did you receive that message, Francisca?
Yeah. This is it's kind of emotional. I will do my best to walk you through, and I would agree with you. It was such a great loss because the few things you saw in him, I saw much more. He was very supportive of everything I did, and had my and he supported me in my vision, in everything I wanted, and he was a very great father to my boys, and a best husband, best friend I could ever dream of. So I will not talk too much, but I will take you from the Friday, which was the last Friday we had our couple conversation. He called me up to tell me he will be traveling to the Western Province because he's from the Western Province. He's from Bangante, One of his friends lost his friends in France lost their mom, so he was going for the funeral, and he called me that Friday. I was here in Montreal to advise me he'll be traveling with a couple of friends to assist his friend. The friend is called Roger, for the funeral of the Roger's mom. And I asked him, was he going with his car, and when is he coming back? He said no, they rented a car and they're going, four of them in that car, and when he comes back, he will call me. We had a project. I don't know if you realize the Seka uniform. There was a uniform we're doing together, and he was doing the part of the project for me in Cameroon. So he said that when he comes back on Sunday, he will complete and send me information on everything I needed to give feedback for my group. Um, as he told me, he advised me he was traveling. I had this sick sense. I didn't feel comfortable him traveling that day, but I knew there was no way I was going to stop him from traveling, because that friend of his, when he's in Cameroon, each time they're together, there's nothing I could do to stop him from doing what they want to do. So I said, okay, my love, safe trip. When you come back, give me a call. And that is how we separated on the phone, with me hoping I'll get back to him on Sunday. And after 25 years, 26 years of marriage, you don't want to be bothering your husband who traveled. We both had mutual respect, and you would think, okay, everything is fine. So I didn't want to bother him while he was on the road during the travel. That was Friday, and Saturday, I didn't hear back from him. I said to myself, I think he got back late, and he's tired. When he gets up, he will call me. And this is me Saturday in my kitchen. As you know, I'm passionate about everything cooking. I was doing some cooking in my kitchen, and I had this call from a landline from one of his friends' wife in Washington, D.C. I was so skeptical about that call. I didn't even want to pick it. I was saying to myself, most of my close contacts, they have my cell phone. Why would someone be calling me on landline? I reluctantly picked up the call, and this was the friend's wife in Washington. Her name is Irene. She said, she's just calling to check on me, and she wanted to wish me Happy New Year in the middle of January, and she was at work. When she finishes, she will call me so we can discuss more. I told her, okay, why don't you call me on my cell phone instead? Don't call me on the landline. And at the end of the call, she asked me of my husband. How about, she put it in French, ton chéri va bien? I'm like, okay, he's fine. He went to the village. He should be coming back. When he comes back, he will call me. She said, okay, I'll call you when I finish work, when I finish my shift. And that's how we hung up, and I would continue doing what I was doing. And some sense came to me like, why is she asking about my husband? Is there something wrong? And this is me. I just went, I picked up my cell phone, and I started calling my husband's cell phone to say, I just wanted to ask him if everything was okay, because this lady, I find it weird that she's calling me. If there's anything, let him tell me, so I know how I'm addressing the next call from her. You know what you will do with your husband. You prepare things inside so that you all have a nice common face in front of a stranger. And that's what I was trying to do. And I called my husband, all the numbers I had, no answer. I left a couple of messages, no answer. 15 minutes later, I called back, there was no answer. And I decided to buy the credit. I said, okay, since it's WhatsApp, maybe that's why he doesn't have internet. I put the credit and I called the landline directly, and still no answer. That is when something started telling me there's something wrong somewhere, which I don't know. as I left my phone open, expecting him to call me back, I had another call from his brother in the US, who that is how I started feeling there's something wrong, because these are people who don't usually call me. I jumped on that call and I asked him if everything is okay. He said it seems as if your husband got into an accident and it looks as if it's all over the internet, but he doesn't have information about that. And as soon as he gets information, he will let me know. That is how I collapsed on the floor. I was alone with my last son at home. No energy to do whatever I needed to do. No, I didn't even know how to start processing this. But I had hope. I knew if it's just an accident, whatever it is, we will fix it. We'll take him to the hospital and everything will be fine. I hung up the phone with my brother-in-law and called back that lady, Irene, who called me. Like, is there something you're hiding from me? Why did you, why did you call me? And that's how she opened up to me that she saw an accident on Facebook somewhere on someone's page. And it seems as if my husband got involved in that accident. And I asked her, whose page is that? She gave me a name. I went to Facebook, I typed it. I could not see anything because I was not friends to that person on Facebook. Bottom line, it went on, and everyone avoiding me. It looks as if the whole world was aware except me. All my friends in Montreal, everybody in Canada was avoiding me because they were already aware. And I had just one friend who sent her husband late at night, like around 6 o'clock, to come sit with me, just to not really tell me what is happening. It's just that visiting me. And that is how he sat with me till maybe 1 a.m. and he decided to go, return to his home. I managed to go to my bed. Around 2 a.m. in the morning, I had that final confirmation from my sister in Cameroon, who just got involved, and they just dumped all the pictures with all the cops, all the bodies, about 20 bodies on with the photos. They dumped it to her. And when I got that call, she was just crying. I asked me if I've heard the news. I said that no news, but I suspected something. And she forwarded me all those pictures. My boys came into my room and they had my phone. They opened it. They saw the pictures of all those bodies on the floor. And they were able to identify their father's body among those 23 bodies, with some without heads, some without arms, limbs. Disgusting. That is how I got the news.
Wow, that was really, really heavy. Wow, wow. So, how did you just tell us a little bit about how your travel was? Because I know when you went home to Cameroon, you encountered some really tough times with your in-laws. So, how was your journey leaving Canada to Cameroon? Just, tell us how things unfolded from that time on.
Yeah. So I want to tell you first and foremost, I had very good friends and support system around here in Canada. My church family and all the friends, they were very supportive during that time, and they helped me a lot, emotionally, financially, and everything. So I really thank them for that. But going home, I had started sensing that there was going to be problems, because when something happens like that, their family, they created a WhatsApp group, which they included me inside with me and my boys. And we we were just watching things unfold in the kind of languages they were using inside. I had to protect my boys from those kind of languages that we were using inside. I just decided to watch them, and I did my own funeral preparation separate from what they were doing inside the group. So Close to the time I decided to travel for the funeral, I have a stepson that I brought here, or my husband's first son that he had out of the marriage, that I brought here for him to have his own greener pastures, as you would say. Um, he gave me a call asking me where I would stay when I go back home. I found that really strange. I have a home in Cameroon where I stayed with my husband. And why is he asking me where I would stay? So I told him I would stay in the house. I didn't know what they were planning for me there. When I got there, my bedroom where I stayed was locked. I was showed a visitor's room. My mother-in-law had locked my room with everything. I didn't have access to my husband's bedroom, our bedroom where I used to stay. I was treated as a visitor. So when I got to the visitors room, I had a lot of friends who came in that day when I got to Douala. I waited for everyone to go back, and I went to go ask my mother-in-law why I was in the visitors room. And she made some kind of flimsy excuse like this is their tradition. You're not supposed to get into your husband's room when he dies. And she as a widow, she went through that, and that's how they treat widows. I'm like, seriously? I said, okay. At this point, I will go rent a room in a hotel and prepare my husband's funeral from the hotel room. And that's when she refused. She told me I should not do that. Otherwise, if I do that, she will break down, all those kind of things. And inside that conversation with her, I heard this voice, like my late husband's voice, telling me, don't worry about anything. The dead don't go away. Don't worry. Go sleep in that room and prepare the funeral. I actually heard his voice, and that's what calmed me down. I went back to that visitor's room and planned his funeral from there. But to be honest with you, I was so shocked. Not only I just lost my husband, I was going through all that emotional pain, and I had to go through this other part which looks like a divorce. You losing your husband and you're divorcing the family. See, Vivian, I left here without even purchasing a suit to bury my husband, because my late husband, he was he had his own style. He was into his own fashion. I didn't want to bury him with something that doesn't look like him, that would look very, very different. I went to all the shops here in Montreal to figure out what kind of suit I would get. I could not get it. So I decided in my mind that, okay, when I get back home, I will go into the wardrobe and pull one of the most current new suits that we bought that he loved, and I will bury him with that suit. I was not given that opportunity to even get into that room. Vivian, last minute, I had to ask my sons who were coming couple of days after to join me for the funeral to go into the stores and buy some suits for their father, buy underwears for that we used to bury their father, buy socks, buy towels, buy everything to bury their father. These are things that he already had inside the room. We were refused to go into that room. My children were actually refused to even have that last moment in the room that their father slept before he died. Some kind of things, emotional things that you get attached to. I was hoping that I would go sleep on that bed for the last time, just to have his smell the last time before they bury him. I was refused that opportunity. And that is how the pain was too much. So too much for me that when my children they landed, I could not accept for them to stay with me in that visitors room. They had to go stay with my friend somewhere where they could have a cooler head. And we prepared the funeral. And
So how was your communication with them at this point, knowing that they were setting you aside with everything or pulling you aside as a stranger? How did you communicate with them to like plan the funeral? Were you guys really communicating, or what were they saying?
No, no, there was. Well, let me tell you something, Vivian. I was given the responsibility of the funeral was 100% on my shoulder. When I figured out this was the situation, I had to take my responsibility seriously. They were not talking to me. All they wanted was me providing them the little funds that I have again. And I noticed that I had to take this matter seriously. It's my responsibility. I got married to him for better or for worse. I had to give him the funeral he deserves. I decided to focus on that, everything that was funeral. I had great support from my friends and family that enabled me to pull up a great funeral, a funeral that he would like, he would have loved. The family was not forthcoming. They were not communicating with me. They literally abandoned everything, including the day of the wake, to me, where they had as a tradition that a widow would need to sleep on the floor. When the corpse is there, you will need to sleep on the floor. I had only my family around me to support me during that time. So there was no communication. I realized there were a lot of things they were planning for to have things executed just right after the funeral, and um, God helped me. I managed to bury him peacefully. And when I returned, that is when I returned back from the village, that's how the fight escalated. And they wanted to take everything that my husband left. And they wanted to make decisions on my behalf. They used that stepson as a stepping stone to try to fight me and my children. They wanted him to be in control of everything. And I decided to let the court decide who should manage what, as I protected myself and my children. That is how the communication is. And it's getting to 5 years. We haven't had any communication with them.
And at that point in Cameroon, you say it got to a point where it went, the whole thing went to the court. Was there any resolution that came out of that?
Yes, there was a resolution. The French law is kind of different from the English law. So there was a resolution on who should manage my own right and the right of my children and the right of my stepson. There was a resolution for us to be in charge of the things that we needed to be in charge. But we haven't had that opportunity to manage those things, because when someone shows you who they are, believe them. I am scared to death of that family. I am scared to put my children in charge of anything, which is what they want. I cannot be alive and watch my boys go through that. Um, we are hoping that someday, I don't know, but one thing I am happy is I brought up my boys to be independent and think for themselves, look for their own things, and not really depend on that, because I know where that is going to, and I don't want them to get into that kind of fight. So right now the court has decided, they've given us our own rights, but we cannot really go and get them, because Cameroon is full of bribes. For the past 5 years, the hotel that my husband had, we've not had any income from that. It's run by the family, and they are sitting on that, preventing his children from taking over what belongs to them.
and handing it to the child that or the son that they know they could have
Yes.
access on. Yeah, Francisca, your case is not an isolated case. A lot of women go through what you are doing, and I really appreciate the fact that you come on to tell your stories, because telling your stories, you showing the other women that they are not alone, and you also empowering them. I appreciate you
Yes.
speaking out, speaking up, and even going through this deep moment. Sometimes, no matter what kind of a will your husband put in place, if the family are in to fight for property, it got to a point where you just have to stay safe and also
Yes.
to prevent your kids from harm's way. So, which is
Yes.
what you do. I'm so glad that you are a woman who've been independent for a very long time. I can imagine a woman going through this, a woman who is relying totally on the husband, how tough that can be. But I'm thankful that you are independent, you can live without this property, you are a go-getter. So, I mean, no woman should go through this, but I
No.
really appreciate you coming here
No.
to tell the
No.
story. So, what
Yeah.
was
But
your deepest moment? You want to share like your deepest moment at that time going through all that in Cameroon? How did you do to manage yourself and also to console your sons who were also grieving?
um, when the situation is like that, Vivian, you need to know you have you are the master of this situation, and you have other people depending on you, like your children, because they will pull strength from you. You need to show strength. You don't need to show weakness. um, I had serious depression right after that. I went through therapy for close to 6 months. The doctor stopped me from working. At that time, while I used to cry, I would make sure my boys are okay. I would make sure that I don't show them that I'm crying. I had therapies that I would go and cry and come back home and be strong for them. It was a very tough moment. It's something that I would not want any woman to go through that kind of double pain. Which is that of a loss of a spouse. I would consider loss of a spouse and divorce, because both situations are very painful no matter how you look at them. I had to live with both. I managed to fly back after getting a lawyer involved, because I knew I had some rights. A lot of widows back home don't know their right, and they don't even have resources to seek for legal counsel, which is something, part of the things I do here after the passing of my husband is to try to raise funds to empower some widows, needed widows, to seek legal counsel when these kind of things happen to them. And a lot of widows back home, they don't have those kind of resources. All they do is to run away, run for their dear lives, and even or stick in there and lost everything with your health and your children. So a lot of these widows, they run away for their dear lives. When I got here, I was very sick. I didn't realize that's what was happening to me. It took strength to actually realize that I was having depression. Yeah, which is, I needed help, seek help. So the therapy helped me. Realizing that I needed help helped me. Having good friends around and family helped me, and having supportive family boys, my sons, it was very helpful for me.
Okay, I really like the part that you brought up that you had to take help. Can you tell us, like, at what point in your life, during going through all this, did you realize that you are broken, you are down? This is a time that you need help. What was that? What was that moment that you knew you needed help and you seek for the help. Because mental health is something that is very neglected, especially in our Black community. I don't know if it's because of the stigma surrounding it. The people who are going through a lot of depression, they are scared to seek for help because they think they're going to judge them. So, can you
Yes.
throw more light how you managed to take yourself to that therapy and how it helped you?
Yes, yeah, I would agree with you that in our Black community, it looks like a stigma, which it shouldn't be. Vivian, it got to a point that I was pulling my late husband's clothes and trying to sleep with them, the clothes. I didn't want to see light. I didn't want to eat. I didn't want to take a shower. I could go on like for a week without taking a shower. Um, I had no energy. I was so low in energy. I didn't just have the strength. I didn't even feel like doing anything, and that is when I realized that I was pretending to myself. I would go under my pillow and cry, and when my boys come into my room, I would pretend as if everything is okay, which is not good. So when it got to the point that I started piling his clothes by my bedside, sleeping with them, the clothes, and feeling as if everything is okay, that is when I realized. And it even affected the things I do. I was not paying my bills on time. I had um, so many calls on collection things. I could not follow up on the things that normal things that you and I would do to run a home. It was taking a toll on me. That's how I realized I needed help, and I went for help. I got help.
Okay,
So,
that's really, really great to know. So at this point, where are you and your boys, knowing how close your boys were to your husband, to their daddy, and how are they coping right now with their life and everything?
okay, time heals everything. That saying that time heals everything. It's very true. I am in a very good place in my life now that I even think moving on is a good option for me. And the kind of energy, the positive energy around me that time has brought has enabled my boys to pull that energy and move on in life with whatever thing they're doing in life. I am so proud of them for what they've done, how they've managed the period, and how they've learned that their new life is without their dad. We still remain very good friends, and we share a lot of things together. They've become my business partners, my friends, as you can see on some of the postings that on the things, the projects that we do together. Again, that early bringing them on board and everything that we did when we moved to Canada, it's paying off, and they're doing very well. They've all graduated from school, from college, and they're all doing in their various careers and moving on with different business ventures together with me.
Wow, that is amazing. You are what we call a super mom. So, how did you get out of all that and follow your passion with your catering? I've heard so much about France cuisine. You serve different diverse community, not only in Canada, but all the way to the United States. I've seen your desserts, they're like out of this world. So, how did you come to exploring your passion and taking it to these higher heights?
Okay, yes, that is a good question, Vivian. I told you at the beginning of this show that when I moved in here into Canada, I had to go out of my comfort zone, out of my thinking box to reach out to different communities, make friends with them. And part of this making of friends is me cooking just the little things that I needed to do to entertain, have a conversation with these people, and figure out what I wanted to figure out from them. So I used to invite few people over or take food to their place, and that's how they appreciated everything that I cooked. Even at the little job that I had, I took some desserts to work, and everyone was just falling there for those desserts. And I did that on a constant base. Even at work, I would bring things at work, and work started asking me to bring this more and even paying me for that. And that's how my boss at one day got to me and said, "Are you sure you are in the right career? It looks as if you were meant for something else, because the food you bring in here, it looks like from a professional chef." And this is how it got me thinking. I could use this passion and take it to a different level. And that is how France cuisine developed from my little kitchen back some 10, 15 years ago. And that is how I polished up and decided to make income, make revenue, and turn it into a business, which is going international.
Wow, this is really, really great. So I know you have a website too where you sell spices. Can you tell us your website so the audience can hear? Because I've got some of your spices there are like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to go to Montreal to visit France cuisine. So what's your website?
The website is www.francisca, like my first name, Walter, my last name.com, www.franciscawalter.com. Everyone can cook. What makes a difference in your cooking is the spices that you use, the spices and herbs, and your presentation. So I came up with my own selection, the ones that I make myself to suit the kind of dishes I make. That's what you have on my website. And you also can book for your events. You can ask for quotes for your events. And in addition to that, there is a new business venture coming up, which is the chalet agréable. I think I've been posting on that. Is the cottage project that we building, myself and my sons, where you could have the opportunity to come stay over at the cottage and have your meals catered for. With you can also rent the outdoor as summer is coming to for us to host your events. We will be launching that venture at the end of May, which will be connected to France cuisine. We look forward
Wow,
having you there, Vivian.
having all these multiple source of income, this is really, really great. So we're not going to wrap up this show without talking about you having your hard work paid off with being the recipient of the prestigious 100 Canadian Black Women to Watch. Let's talk about this. What category were you nominated? I know this is like this is one of the biggest awards we have in Canada when it comes to our Black community, because it is Canada wide that they nominate. Then they have to narrow down to select just 100 women. I am a proud recipient of this award and I know that feeling. So let us know in what category you were elected, nominated, and chosen, and how are you feeling about it? Congratulations once more, girl.
Thank you so much, Vivian. It was such an honor to be a recipient for be part of the 100 selected, and I was selected under the category for the work I do that touches different communities. The kind of things that I do, the work I do to help elderly people and people around me. I am an elder in my church, and a part of it was the job that I do is to reach out to the less privileged community, the older people. Part of French cuisine is cooking for those people who don't have the opportunity to do that, to have tasty meals, and some of the homeless people that we do. So part of that work was recognized as me being nominated for that kind of thing that I do, for which I'm so grateful, and it has inspired me, it has propelled me to do more. I thank that the committee for nominating me, and I look forward doing more into that category.
Oh, that is so excellent and so inspiring. At the beginning
Yes,
of this show, I was saying that I know that your story is going to touch so many lives. It's going to inspire so many, like I have been inspired myself. So, I wanted to give like a closing statement. Are you, what will you tell the audience watching right now? Some of them who have gone through the same struggle you've gone through. What advice will you give to women who have gone through a loss and how to get back to normal? I know sometimes in life it's not about how you fall or how you stumble, it's how you rise from there and look at what's ahead of you. So let me know, what advice can you give to our audience?
exactly. You said it all with the last comment, the last statement that you said. Um, no one event, no one sad event should define you as a woman. You will have to write your own story. You don't have to let anyone else write your story for you. And that story is how you get up from where you were and get up stronger and have the strength to do the things you needed to do. If you're still alive today, it means you have so many things to accomplish. And you don't want to stay down there without accomplishing those things. So, my advice to every woman, every person who's gone through any hardship is that marriage is good. It's a very, very good thing. But it should be like an icing on your cake. You have to be you. You have to be your own person. And marriage is a complement to who you are. And don't let nobody should write your story, and nobody should tell you what you should or you shouldn't do. So stand up, dust off, continue being a hard-working woman, taking care of your family, and don't let a bad situation define you.
Ooh, I like that. I like that. That's a big take for me. And I'll have like the audience to drop down their comments. What is your take from this discussion for today? And like what you said, that stay to tell your own story. That is very good. Thank you so much, Francisca, for taking this time off to relive your story by telling it all over again to inspire lives, to impact other lives, and to let other people going through this know that they are not alone. I really appreciate you, and I know I've seen all the great work you do to the community and beyond. And I wish you all the best. And thanks again for coming to the show. I'll surely get you one more time so we can get deeper into your new projects. Thank you very much. So,
Thank you.
everyone, thank you so much for watching this show. I really appreciate you all. And this is what we're going to be showing on this show: inspiring and impactful messages and stories. If you have a story that you want to share, reach out. And also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video. Let's join together and touch one life at a time. Thank you, and you have a wonderful day.